You talked something else you talked about in VA is part-time, full-time. What are your thoughts on that? Should you buy part-time? Should you buy full-time? What are your thoughts?
That's a good question. The only thing is, if you're hiring part-time, they obviously need to provide for themselves, their families. How are they spending that extra time? Are they going to spend that other part-time with another seller, or they could potentially take your leads and also share it with them and get like a 2-for-1? Personally, I like to go full-time. There's not a huge difference in like the amount that I'm paying, but I do believe that bringing someone on full-time, their full focus is now with you. I'm able to provide them with the right trainings. I know that they are fully invested in me and my company. So full-time is most definitely what I prefer.
Fantastic. I love it. And question for you, like, how often do you pay them? And like, how do you pay them? Do you like send them a check in the mail?
Yeah, so good question. It's actually a lot easier to pay them. Over the years, I've just tried all different payment methods. I used to pay, once a month, and then I'm like, okay, wait, they have bills. So now we do it basically bi-weekly. I used to pay through PayPal. However, each payment that you make and you send to the Philippines, there's like a $5 surcharge. And so we just recently moved over to Wise. And that service charge is much, much less.
Yeah, fantastic. Same as us. We use Wise. And again, yeah, it's like every 2 weeks, isn't it? Really good.
Every 2 weeks.
So yeah, really good. So obviously I met you randomly in the Philippines.
Yes.
What were you doing in the Philippines, may I ask?
So great question. That's honestly a really cool story. So, I've used virtual assistants for years now in all kinds of businesses, but with my service-based business, I had been with them for, probably coming up on like a year and a half. And I'm really big into traveling. So is Tom. He's been to way more country, cities, locations than me, but I wanted to kind of get out of the country, try some new places, and said, why not go on a business trip to the Philippines and actually meet my employees in person. So literally like 9 days before I left, I booked a plane ticket, flew to the Philippines. Texas to the Philippines is about a 28 hours worth of flying. So I took 3 different flights. It was a long journey. Now I went to the capital of Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines, and I flew out or just paid all expenses for my entire team to basically meet there. Got them hotel rooms. We went out to nice dinners every night. We did fun activities like bowling, just kind of team building, because you also have to understand these are virtual employees. So I had never met them in person, and it's just so much more different to be able to meet them in person and be able to just get to know them, more than just, inside the business world. And like, it was all their, like, most of their first times going into like casino, most of their first times ever like bowling, like just super interesting stuff. And then there was a lot of, they just showed me a lot of like gratefulness for being their employer. Like they all put their money together and got me a little gift. Actually have it right here. Let me just grab it. So this thing called a Jeep, and this is basically like their bus transportation. And it was like 10 cents, or I don't remember. It was like around 10 cents to ride in it. And so we like packed into the back of it, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And so they went to the mall and bought me this. And I had another VA like buy me some pants because he was from Thailand. And it was just really cool experience. And then of course, I've been following Tom on Instagram, and all of a sudden the feed was just showing me all his stuff. And I saw in his stories that he was going to be in the same city when I was there. So I reached out to him, connected, and Tom took me and one of my main Amazon virtual assistant. He took us to the Sheraton Hotel, I think, which is like 5-star hotel. Tom showed us his room. Like he was in like the VIP access. He bought dinner for me and my virtual assistant. So he showed us a great time, sat with me and my VA for 2 hours, and just knowledge and gyms and so much good information. So grateful for that. Thank you, Tom.
No, I love it. Honestly, it was really surprising. I was like, yeah. You were like, hey man, are you in the Philippines? I was like, yeah. Why? He's like, because so am I. I'm like, what? Like, what? It's like, do you want to meet? I was like, I fly out in 4 hours. Okay, fine. And like, literally I did. I flew out that day. It was like really bad. So I'd like to talk about your team and how you made a good, like how you developed a team, because obviously you've got 2 and plus eight sources. But before we go into that, what are some horror stories that you've had? Like, what are some of the bad experiences behind the VAs?
Bad experience with VAs. I would say one has been communication. I've had a lot of times where, maybe we bring on a VA and maybe they're struggling to find product leads, which is okay. It's our duty. It's our goal to teach them and to provide them with that knowledge. But if they're not showing up to, the team coaching call where we're having someone teach product research, or maybe I'm having a call and they show up late, or, they're sick for the 3rd team call in a row, lack of communication, lack of effort is something that I can't teach. Like I can't have you, provide more effort. So that's definitely one thing. Horror stories, I haven't had anything too too bad. Just people sometimes being lazy. I feel like I've probably had a virtual assistant sharing leads with other employers. I'm sure it's probably happened to me. They're not on my current team, but I'm sure it's probably happened in the past. But horror stories, man, I can't think of anything too bad. Like even if like I did lose a little bit of money, I usually learn a lot from it, and I just use that information to move forward.
I think the thing to think about is you, like, regardless of it be a VA or even someone you hire in the States, you're always going to have good and bad eggs. That's it. You know, people it's not like, oh my God, the Philippines are always bad and American people are always amazing. Like, no disrespect to like Americans or the Philippines, is to say that it's about people and individuals and our ability to filter them and see how well they work for us. You know, some people make good stuff. They really do it. They enjoy it and they love it, and some people don't. And I think for you, you know, looking at those standards, looking, do they show up, what's happening? Like, I'm a big believer, like, I will teach you everything that I know, so long as you're willing to learn. But if you're not willing to learn, then we're not doing this. This isn't working. It's funny you talk about like sharing deals. I've had it to the point that one of my sources was literally about to be promoted to purchasing assistant. And we fired her for sharing. And then 6 months later, 2 of my customers came back to me and was like, Tom, your member of staff, we just caught them sharing. I was like, who? And they're like, message. And I was like, oh, we fired them 6 months ago. And they're like, oh, she said that you couldn't employ her anymore because of X, Y, and Z. And we didn't bother asking because we believed her. I was like, just ask the question. Like, I would have told you not to do it. And they were like, damn. And like, ironically, because those 2 talked to each other, and they realized the same person was working to them. And they didn't think that was happening. So, you know, it's bad. It does happen. But I think, look, I think my advice to anyone is people will always get in the way of your dreams. Just because someone else got in the way doesn't mean you should stop having the dream. You should keep going regardless of the obstacles in your way. So obviously you've got a team of 2 plus 8 in your service. Tell me about how you build a good team. What some tips, tricks, and hacks that people can like take away and smash it out there? How does it work?
Yeah, so we actually had this same exact so when I met Tom in the Philippines, he has a huge team. I don't remember the exact number of total virtual assistants, but I had been growing, and I had a team of anywhere from 8 to 10. And I was just asking Tom, like, how can I be a better leader, a better boss? And like, obviously, you know, I had trainings to teach my virtual assistants. I'm teaching my best sourcers or teaching some of my weaker sourcers. But like, we just needed more. One big thing was to make a team group chat on WhatsApp and have them all basically send a message when they're logging into work and when they're logging out of work. So each VA has 2 messages a day, and then you have to go ahead and leave like a little animation emoji on each person's message. So it just started creating more engagement. And over time, people start sharing, a cool thing that happened in their day, or maybe they share their dog or their animal, and it just starts building a little more community effect. Each Monday we have a company call, and it's sometimes, obviously we'll hop into like, how to do product research, like how to, here's a quick tip of the day. But sometimes we just, like this past weekend, we had a call and we talked, I gave our whole team, all the staff, a paid day off for Good Friday. And so they had basically a 3-day weekend, and I just basically had every VA share what they did this week. And they spent time with their family, or they went to visit some temple, and we discussed that. Everyone got to share, and it was like a 30-minute call, and we just ended it. Kind of that team building, I think, is what makes everyone, kind of come together. Maybe instead of someone having a problem coming to me, they're coming to another staff member. That staff member is helping them, and just company culture is one thing I've been trying to really improve on.
Yeah. I love the emoji thing. That's a really easy hack.
Yeah.
And it's such an easy one, you don't even realize it. But I think also as well, like we do it in my business, whereby you need to have the personal conversations before you get into the business ones, and you need to build the personal relationships, because yes, we can have the business relationship, but if there's personal issues in the way, they're just not going to do the business stuff. If when you've just broken up with your girlfriend or something, or your loved one, like, yeah, you're at work, but my God, you're not working. Like, you need to deal with that problem first. And I think that's really important. Question for you is, so you talked about kind of like company culture. Is there anything that maybe you're looking to do going forward to continue growing that and make it even better?
So when I went out to the Philippines, meeting them in person was like really, really cool. So if I could do something maybe once a year to kind of reward the people that have been with me for a while, like you said, incentives can be kind of a little bit iffy. Like maybe I send them, an extra large payment. Like some people aren't necessarily motivated by money, but maybe I take them to another part of the Philippines on a nice beach resort where they've never been and no one from their family's ever been, and I just show them a great time. Like I feel like they're gonna, instead of them seeing me as an employer, they almost see me as a friend. And because of that, maybe they're working harder, or maybe they're trying to continue to learn. They want to see me win because they genuinely enjoy my friendship. So I think something like a yearly meetup would be super, super cool. Now, traveling to the Philippines is obviously a long journey. In terms of company culture, I try to focus on just good energy. Like I don't want any energy vampires. Like everyone needs to come to the call, somewhat excited, wanting to improve. And obviously I've been trying to take as many tips from you as I can.
How do you deal with that? Like a lot of VAs are gonna be yes sir, no sir, whatever you say sir. And you talk about energy vampires. I even think the yes sir, no sir, I'm not gonna contribute sir is an energy vampire. How do you deal with that within your company, and how do you stop that?
So that's a good question. I think one time you brought this up, basically every little question, they're coming to me. And what I was trying to go about is hey, I want you to try to solve this on your own, if that makes sense. So hey, Carter, I don't know if I want to buy, this lead, or just try to figure it out on your own. What was the question again? I think I maybe got a little off course. How do you stop
energy vampires? How do you stop people doing yes sir, no sir?
Okay, how do you stop energy vampires? I think you originally look for that in the initial hiring calls. Like you can learn a lot about a potential hire in a 15, 20, 30-minute call. Hey, what jobs have you done in the past? Why you're not currently working for them? Ask them what they like to do in their free time. And you can just kind of read that emotion. The yes sir, no sir, it's kind of tough because obviously they're wanting to show respect to you. You're the employee, you're the boss. They want to be as respectful as possible. So I'm not quite sure how I can how I could go about kind of having them speak to me differently. I don't know if you have any tips on that, Tom.
I do. Like the one that I kind of do sometimes is a bit mean. I'm like, if you call me sir, I'll fire you. And they're like, yes. And I try, because I think in our cultures we very much we have first name basis.
Right.
Whereas in Asian cultures there's a very kind of age hierarchy is a very important part of it.
Okay.
But I think personally for me is if you're hearing yes sir, no sir, it's because you're not asking good questions. You're asking questions whereby they can answer with a yes or no. Instead, you should start asking open questions whereby they have to give you an answer.
I like that.
And then I always push back on it. Like they'll tell me something and I'll be like, but why? And they'll be like, I hate you, sir. And I'm like, good. Like I want your opinion. I don't want you to just reel something off of me. I think that's really important. So, cool. So obviously you've got your Amazon business, you've got your service company. Where does the future lie? Where are you going to be in a year's time?
Man, so obviously I want to continue to grow the business. I want to continue to sharpen my skills. So I can hopefully share those skills back on social media for, wherever someone is in their journey as an Amazon seller. Of course, always open to other businesses. I don't really want to pick up 10 different businesses because then my time's being divided. So obviously I have the selling fast lane service business, my Amazon business. Real estate is something that I'm continually wanting to learn and invest in. I have one property at the moment, got some money in the stock market, had a little money in crypto. Let's just say it's a little bit less than what I had put in there. I'm just continuously learning and keeping myself open to different opportunities, Fantastic. Partnerships, brand deals, all that stuff.
No, I like it. And what's the long-term goal? Why do you resell? What do you want to do 10, 15 years out? What does that look like to you?
10 to 15 years, man. I haven't really thought out that far. That's something I definitely should. Obviously, the classic financial freedom. I think just the ability to wake up when I want, do what I want to do when I want to do, I think is the ultimate freedom. I personally don't think that just doing nothing all day would be of interest to me, like just sitting on the couch and playing video games, watching movies. I do genuinely think I'd be bored. I would want some kind of business to keep me busy so I can keep trying to improve, sharpen my skills. But that also doesn't mean 15 years from now when I have kids, I'm going to be wanting to work, 12-hour days. That's definitely not on my goal list. So just, the freedom to essentially do what I want and when I want is the ultimate goal.
I think it's really interesting. The one thing which I see outside all of this is the fact that with the advent of the internet, you have the ability now to learn so much that wasn't available.
Oh,
and we see it. The more entrepreneurs are a younger and younger generation, which is the opportunity available is incredible. So 100%. I think massive respect to you for what you've achieved and also where you're going. Inspirational. So if anyone wants to get in contact, how can they do it?
So I think my Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff is just the Carter Maxwell.
Cool. If anyone wants to know,
or selling Fastlane,
I'll put that all down below so you can obviously answer as well.
Thank you,
Carter. I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing everything. And obviously, if anyone's interested, do check out the links down below. Obviously, you can connect with Carter and see it. But Carter, hopefully in a year's time, I can interview you again, maybe 15. Obviously, if we're still doing this, and see how you get on, and obviously see where life is, and obviously how you are not only on the Amazon business, the VA, but also even the real estate side. Very interested to hear more about that. But Carter, for myself and everyone watching, thank you so much for your time. And obviously, I look forward to catching up with you in about a year's time.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me on, Tom.
Take care. Bye-bye.